Good morning, magandang umaga, and welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Ness and I just sitting out here relaxing this morning, listening to the birds. As you can see, squirrel in the background, eating some of the bird seeds that are dropping down from the bird feeder that I installed in the yard many years ago. But that's not what we're here to talk about this morning. This morning's episode is not about nature. This morning's episode is more about technology. We're going to do a little bit upgrading to one of our tablets here. Now, if you're interested in upgrade technology, you might be interested in some of the tips that might come along in today's episode as well. I have a tablet that has it has 4 gigabit of memory inside. Now, according to the manufacturer, and according to a lot of the memory companies, 4 gigabyte is all that you can put in. But I think that's because it was recommended at the very beginning, because that's all they had available for sale when they did it, and everybody's going by the manufacturer's initial specification on the system. So what I did some research, and you might find the research to be interesting. So don't always take don't take everybody's word to be the actual facts, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit in today's episode. This morning, like I said, we're just sitting here. We just had some breakfast out here on the porch. It's kind of a dreary day. We've gotten some rain here in the last few days, which we desperately needed. We have been in such drought conditions around here, but the grass is greening up and things are looking really nice. Ness sitting here, she's keeping up, and myself keeping up with our news in the Philippines. She has a program that she watches on her tablet.
This is Umagang Kay Ganda. We always watch this every morning to keep us updated.
Yes, so we are keeping up to date with what's going on in the Philippines, so we know what's been happening when we get back home. So anyway, let's go ahead and get today started, and we'll talk more about our upgrade. So without further delay, let's get today's video underway. Now let's go ahead and talk about the tablet that I plan on repurposing for a CCTV monitor out at Villa Feliz. Now what I have here is I have a refurbished Motion Computing J3500. Now J3500 comes with a couple of different specifications, but this one right here comes loaded with the Intel Core i7 680UM processor, and this runs at 1.47 gig. Now, this specific tablet, it's a really good tablet. It's touch sensitive, and it's really not bad. It's ruggedized, and it's great for a workshop type of environment, even taking outside, installing inside your vehicle. Now what I went ahead and did, I went ahead and installed my CCTV software on here, and you'll see it's working great. The flickering that you see right here is it's not flickering real life. This has to do with using a camera here going to a monitor there, and the frequencies go offset, so that's probably why you're seeing the flickering. But it works really good for the purpose of doing CCTV monitoring. So this is the main reason. But it's a little bit slow. Even though it has a 1.47 gigahertz processor inside, I still want to try to make it a little faster boot up speed, and also maybe for it to run applications a little faster. So what I am going to do is on this system right here, I am going to upgrade the memory. And the reason I'm going to upgrade the memory is because there's really not many options I can use for upgrading this specific model right here, or a laptop or a tablet. Mainly you're kind of restricted again to things like the memory and the hard drive inside, because normally the graphics card and the CPU are embedded on the motherboard inside the system, so they're very difficult to do an upgrade with. I concluded that probably one of the best things for me to try to do is try to upgrade the memory inside from 4 gigabytes to 8 gigabytes of memory. Well, I went out and I did the research, and I found out most of the references for this specific model says the maximum amount of memory that you can put in there is 4 gigabytes, including the manufacturer's website that said, well, the manufacturer's website, Motion Computing, they're not there anymore. They sold out to a company that I believe was absorbed by another company. But anyway, all of them say that the maximum amount that you can put is 4 gig. Also, if you look on the bulletin boards and you look throughout the communities, you'll see that the J3500, the maximum amount of memory that you can put is 4 gigabyte. Well, I wasn't happy with that answer, so I looked a little bit deeper. I looked at the motherboard inside. That Intel motherboard that's inside, when I looked it up, it said it will handle maximum of 8 gigabytes of memory. It is prepared for that. Using DDR3 800, and DDR3, DDR stands for double data rate, and if it says 800, it means it will handle 1600 because it's a clock speed. It's a double of the 800, which gives you 1600. Anyway, a little bit lesson on how they do memory data numbers inside. Well, anyway, I did some more research, and what I found out from another user on YouTube is that you can indeed install 8 gig of memory in the J3500 motion computing tablet. So what I did was I ordered some memory, and it's supposed to come in today. It's scheduled to be delivered sometime today. When it comes in, what we'll do is we will do a tear down and install of the new memory, and we will do testing. Prior to us receiving the memory, what I did was I did a test and a benchmark of the existing memory that's inside there. The test came out great, and I will show you some of the results here in just a little bit. And I did a benchmark, and what we will do is we will install the new memory when it arrives, and then we will do another test of the new memory, and we'll do a benchmark, and we'll see if there is indeed an improvement. One of the other things that I'm going to do is I am going to do a time check of how long it takes to boot up and actually get into where you can run applications in the tablet with the old memory, and we'll do it again with the new memory. Another way of benchmarking. So let's wait for the memory to get here, and once it does, we'll go ahead and do our installation and our testing. I think our memory is in. Thanks. Well, let's go ahead and open up the bag and let's check to make sure this is what we are looking for in the memory. And it is the memory. Now, when selecting your memory for your laptop or your tablet, if you are doing an upgrade, the best thing to do is to go to the manufacturer's site or go to a specific company like this one, TimeTech, and ask them, because they are supposed to be the experts. You can normally put in your model of your laptop or tablet or computer, and they will be able to tell you what compatible type memory they have for that. Unfortunately, I struck out on 2 counts because both the company makes the computer or the tablet, they say you can't even put 8 gig of memory inside there, so there was no referencing there. And also, I went to this TimeTech site as well, and they basically told me they don't have any memory there that's compatible in the 4 gig sticks at each, like this one right here, that will work with the motion computing. But as you see, I have a pack, and there's 2 inside here. I have a pack from TimeTech. Now, whether this works or not, I'm not sure. We're going to try this out, and if it does, I think it's best that I get back with the company and let them know that they are not quite aware of some of their compatibility. Like, again, I did contact one of their technicians, their sales support, and they said they did not have anything. But I'm going to try this out anyway. I think this might work. Now, one more thing I want to mention before we try installing this right here. There is a misconception when it comes to purchasing memory for your computer. A lot of times people look at the frequency, basically something like a 1333 megahertz RAM chip versus a 1600 or really a 1666 megahertz RAM chip inside there. And that's your clock cycles, how fast it will clock in and out data. And the misconception sometimes is that the faster the frequency, the better performance that you'll get. Well, you not only have to look at frequency or speed, but you also have to look at is latency. And on this, I don't know if you can see this little thing seeing here the CL, and that is a latency number right there, and this one says 9. And there's a chart that you can go by where you can compare latency versus frequency. So sometimes you can have something that is a faster chip in frequency but has a higher latency, and it will not be faster than one that is a lower frequency with a lower latency. I hope you understand that. You can get more information about that on Google if you look that up as well. But the thing is, I picked one that was a CL9. I had a choice for this chip, either a CL9 or with a chip that was a CL11. And when I did the calculation, they were almost the same, but this was what I picked. This was available, and it was a good price. Now, before I change out the memory inside the laptop, I'm going to do some benchmarking. Basically, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my my iPhone with the timer on here, and what we're going to do from a cold start, we're going to launch the operating system and see how long it takes to get into where it actually starts. Now, I want to make sure there's no misconception about what I'm explaining to you. Normally, memory, when you if you take something that has 4 and you go to 8, or you go from 8 to 16. Normally memory doesn't really speed up your computer. Normally what memory does, memory allows you to run more operations simultaneously. Basically what they call threads. You can have multiple applications running at the same time. And you can, if you are having a problem and your system is slow and you want to look and see if you have enough memory inside there, like on Windows, you can go into Task Manager and you can go under the memory section inside there, and you can see what percentage of your memory is being used for a specific application. So I don't really have any big expectations, but I'm just curious. I have a curiosity. I don't know, because some of the applications that I use are very memory intensive. They're both CPU intensive and memory intensive. So we're just going to see. I just wanted to have some clarification here about things that will speed up. Again, things that will speed up your computer the most are usually your CPU, and upgrading to a faster or an SSD type of a hard drive, and graphics cards. All right, our first test is going to be, we're going to use the handy dandy iPhone stopwatch function inside here, and we're going to press the power switch. We'll bring everything up. I'll use the fingerprint scanner. Hopefully it catches my fingerprint, logs in, and we will open up an application. We'll see how long it takes for that application to open up. We'll do all that, and we'll do the same exact thing once we do the memory upgrade. So we get to the power button over here. Here it is, and I will press it. For the little timer function, stop. Okay. Go to the login. Do the fingerprint scan. I love that fingerprint login scanner. That is great. And then we'll open up Google Chrome. All right. So about 1 minute and 44 seconds. Now that took a really long time. That's very painful. That's one of the reasons why I'm hoping that we can get better memory performance. Okay, so we'll go ahead and benchmark that, and then what we'll do, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and swap out the memory. All right, the first thing we have to do, we have to separate the outer case from the motherboard on the inside. So to do that, there are 10 screws that we're going to have to remove. There are 8 on the outside as part of this frame, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there will be 2 underneath this cover right here. We'll have to remove the cover, and there's a port replicator underneath here. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Something else you might want to do, you probably should do it before we start taking the back cover. Let's go ahead and take the batteries out. All right, the next thing, we have 4 silver screws inside here. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go ahead and remove those screws. Now on the On the Motion Computing, they also have a slot over here that would house a like an express card. So we're going to go ahead and pop the cover off of this, and it's just a blank cover. We have to put that to the side. Now, if you haven't done so already, remove this little bracket inside here that goes around the port replicator. Remember, we took off the 2 screws there and set that aside for later. And what we're going to do, we're going to flip over the laptop. And what we are going to do, we are going to attempt to remove the bezel all the way around, starting from the center here in the back, being very careful not to break any of the connectors inside there. We're going to pop it here first, and then carefully, with maybe a very fine screwdriver, try to remove it from its plastic snap-ons here. Now, once you've pulled the bezel off, something I want to caution you about is to keep an eye on these little red, they look like little bumpers inside here, but they are not. What they are they're isolators. If you can see, there's a hole in the center of it on both sides, and occasionally they'll come off. As a matter of fact, this one came off right here, and I put it back on. And they only have one direction that they can go in, because the hole has to line up with the microphone hole underneath. And they're isolators, so there's no noise going on between the bezel itself and the chassis. So make sure that those are put back in the proper position. And if you want to, you can pull them off, put them on the side over here, so you don't lose them along with the screws. All right, the next thing we want to do, we want to disconnect the power cable right here. There's a little ribbon cable and a connector. So we'll pop that out gently, and we'll move that out of the way so that we can go ahead and get the chassis out. Alright, now with everything disconnected, we can go ahead and remove the entire motherboard, the monitor assembly, everything from the rest of the back of the plastic frame. So we'll start from my right hand side, looking directly at it, and we will pop it out. Now be careful on this side right here, because these are where all the connectors are. So we're just going to pop it out here like this. And we'll turn this over. Again, be careful. I probably should have pulled off these microphone covers. There's 3 microphones on here. I'm going to see if they'll stay on there without them falling off. Now on the back side, to access the RAM, we're going to take this cover. There is one screw here somewhere. Oh yeah, it shows right here. There's one screw. We're going to unscrew that, and we're going to lift off this cover. Now this cover has a little bit of tape adhesive on it, so we'll pry up underneath here. And here are the old RAM chips inside there. So we're going to remove these, and we're going to replace them with these new chips. Okay, now with the new memory installed, let's go ahead and put everything back the way we took it apart. Alright, now with everything installed, it's time to go ahead and do a functional check to see if this memory will actually work with the system. I hope it does. I don't want to take it apart again. Now the very first thing I want to do is I want to check to see if the BIOS recognizes the new memory. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Hopefully no crazy stuff happens here. So we'll go up to Setup Manager in BIOS. And it shows, let's see, total memory, 8 gigabits. 8,192 meg, which is basically the 8 gig that we installed. So that's great. We showed that its memory speed is 800, which is great. So everything looks good there. So let's go ahead and exit. We didn't make any changes, so let's see if it will boot up normally. Okay, well that looks good so far. Now there is a test we can do here, and let's go ahead and open it up. See if we can find the test before we do our benchmarking again. Now here you can type memory, let's see, memory. Windows Memory Diagnostic app. Let's go ahead and open that up. And what this will do, we'll go ahead and let it do a check to see if it sees any problem with this memory. And there you go. There is the notification. No problems with the new memory. All right, let's do the final check of the day to see if all this was really worth the trouble and effort and cost. So let's go ahead and do the same test we did with the old memory, which was we're going to time, we're going to do a login, we're going to go and open up Internet Explorer and see if we can have the Google window open. Let's see how much time it takes. Right, well, let's take a look at what we got here. We have 1 minute and 22 seconds. It took, if I remember correctly, it was 1 minute and about 44 seconds. So we shaved about 20 seconds off of the time with this with the new memory inside there. Now, again, this isn't the most calculated type of a way of doing testing. There's many other type of benchmarkings that can be done, and results will differ from a few seconds here, a few seconds there. But 20 seconds is quite a big amount. Again, remember, upgrading memory from an acceptable amount of like 4 to 8 is really not going to do a lot for performance and speed, but it will allow you to open up lots of different applications at the same time. That's the main reason for upgrading RAM. Well, anyway, that's about it for today. Let's go ahead and draw some conclusions. Well, that's about it for today's episode. It's starting to get dark. We got some clouds coming over. I think we might be getting some more rain this evening. Well, anyway, today was a success. I'm going to call it a success. Being able to double the amount of RAM in this J3500, especially when companies like the manufacturer say that the maximum amount was half the amount that we put inside there. Plus, I believe we have a performance increase as well. I remember shaving off about 20 seconds, 20 plus seconds on a boot up sequence, and going into an application is nothing to sneeze at. Now, what I will do today, I will put the information on the memory that I installed inside the description block below, and I will put a couple of other cheaters inside there for different types of memory if you have any of the motion computing tablets like the J3400, 3500, or 3600 as well. The next thing that I want to do is to look at SSD cards. I think I'm going to replace that spinning drive inside that system for an SSD. I believe that will be one of the biggest performance increases that I can do for this system, depending on price, whether we do a purchase or not. And if we do that, I will also include you on that install and that experience. Well, if you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up, please share, and if you have not subscribed, just click on that little My PI Dream heart in the bottom right hand side of your screen. You will be subscribed and you will be notified the next time I upload a new video. So until such time, you have a wonderful and blessed day.